Alright, Shalom Hebrews. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. Okay, Hebrews, are you under Amorite mind control? Are you under Amorite mind control? The average Israelite or the so-called African American, black, colored, Negro, you know, they're they're up under Amorite mind control. The Amorites got control of their mind. And I'm going to prove this, that even the Israelites that so-called woke are up under Amorite, mind control, and that their minds are being controlled by the Amorite culture and its myth and its lies. And if you ain't woke up to what happened to us and what we did based upon Tanakh history that can trace us from Tanakh to our captivity today, then means you're up under Amorite mind control. And the Amorites, set America up. You know what I'm saying? Man, it's starting to develop some history that a mere IMMER, you know what I'm saying? They real slick because the people that we'll abandon our heritage to are from Babylon. I proved this over and over how the Sephardims, the Sephardims are from Babylon and how we Israelites abandoned our heritage to them during the Babylonian wars. I explain this all the time. There's no getting away from that, and this should be part of Israelite history and curriculum now. If you're running with some Israelite camps and groups that ain't, showing this history that I'm showing, then for sure they're up under Amorite mind control. They're up under Amorite mind control. All praise be Almighty Yah is that He did, leave us with the Tanakh, the history that our ancestors originally wrote. That's why come we can get some truth out of it, because our ancestors originally wrote it, and then they got their directions from Almighty Yah, a guidance from Almighty Yah, even though our heritage and history fell into the Sephardims' hand, and the Sephardims are the Sephardims, just basically they're Amorites. They're Amorites. If you can understand that the Sephardims are Amorites and that the Amorites founded Sipper, where they're from, if you can understand that and get that understanding, then you know what I'm saying, you can come off and up under Amorite mind control. You can come off and up under Amorite mind control if you understand that that we Israelites abandoned our heritage to some peoples from Babylon, from Sipper is where they're from. And this is an Amorite created nation, and then that's like Maury, you know what I'm saying? If you see that dark color, you know what I'm saying? That's where the Amorites, and this is the heart of the Amorites. The darker the color is, the more, prevalent that the Amorites were. And if you see Sipper, that's short for Sephardim. And Sephardim is basically where the tax originated from. The tax in the form that we understand and how it's used, and in whatever form or degree that you can imagine, that the tax come from here. They created the tax. You know what I'm saying? They created the tax. These are Amorites, and this tax system and how they function is in opposition to Almighty Yah's law. The Amorite culture is the culture that Almighty Yah told us Israelites to destroy. and that the people from Sephardim, I can prove that, that they was placed in Samaria, and that they are Amorites, and that the word Amir, you know what I'm saying? Amir and Amir is of the Amorite origin, and that, that Amir was a place in Babylon, and, that's where the Amorites were. And Amir is short for Amorite, and that how we can prove that America, America, America is founded by Amorites. That Amir right there, them gonna be traced back to Babylon. Those folks, and they just put the Akka on it. But Amir is gonna show that the Sephardi, or the Sephardim founded this country. You know what I'm saying? When they came here, and then you can easily see this right here, and then this is developing. They would develop the Amorite mind control, its governments, its systems, and you see, man, the Israelites participating in it, this in captivity, and then they don't know. You know what I'm saying? They don't know. All right, let's look at some of this right here. All right, let's look at some of this. All right, we see a mirror. Let's see. Let's get to this here. I want to show that it is this Jewish person, man, a historian. Oh man, he gonna tell it like it is, but what he didn't count on was that the real Israelites was gonna wake up, and that the information that he explaining how the Jews function and how they really function is in opposition to the covenant, the broken covenant, and that it's impossible for the Jewish people to be Israelites based upon Tanakh history, and then I show you where the Sephardi and the Ashkenazi come from. I got plenty videos covering this, but how this individual Max ID Month is very useful, man. And I'm talking about his history is so accurate and indisputable. Nobody disputes his history because it's accurate. And how he says, look, beginning with the Sephardim who first reached the shores of America in the 1600s. Look, this fascinating. Look, he telling you, look, beginning with the Sephardim. Man, I show you in countless videos how the Sephardi had the first synagogues here, and then how the slaves, you know what I'm saying, when they brought slaves here, they made them build it and stuff. But look, beginning with the Sephardim who first reached the shores of America in the 16th century. He telling you, look, he telling you off the flop. He telling you off the flop, and then we know that the Sephardim are Sephardi's. The Sephardim are Sephardi, and they root in ethnic pointer term name and tribal name and ethnic pointer term name is Sephardim. Now they done tried to trick peoples all over the world and try to say that Spain means Sephard. You know what I'm saying? But we know that Sephardim existed way before Spain even had a name. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like Ashkenazi existed way before Germany. Even got its name, and how Ashkenazi is an ethnic pointer term that go all the way back to Assyrian times. Assyrian times, they recorded their real names, but these are the peoples that we abandon our heritage to, that's been responsible for the whole Western civilization, especially as Jews gonna be the most educated peoples in the world, back in ancient, days in the BCs and so forth, and how did they single-handedly develop Europe. You know what I'm saying? The Sephardi and Ashkenazi. I got plenty of videos showing you the trade routes. You know what I'm saying? The trade routes, like how they, where you see that line, that's where they did trade. Them barber tribes, that's who they kindred to. Look, you see, men up there in Spain, how they crisscross Spain all about. And then look, you see all the rest of the parts, especially all up in Europe. All those lines is the trade routes that the Sebhardis, under their name Randonite, the Randonite merchants and stuff, when they traveled all over and stuff. And then they would educate peoples because they would build, synagogues, and they would bring trade from this land into this land and books and all that stuff, man, they had going on. Well, those Amorites, after leaving Spain, being chased by proxy, from the Catholic Church, Ashkenazi and the Sephardi's been fighting over the Israelite heritage since we abandoned our heritage to the Sephardi's, the Sephardims, and then how the Ashkenazi and the Sephardi's been at war by proxy, over the Israelite heritage, and that's what people don't know. They know, but the average person, don't know. You know what I'm saying? They don't know that that Ashkenazi and the Sephardi's been fighting over the Israelites' heritage when we Israelites abandoned our heritage during the Babylonian Wars. I'm gonna explain all this. And there's a lot going on. But how the most important thing is that the America is founded by, as I just showed, that America is founded by the Sephardims, the Amorites. The Amorites. That's why America would have its name America. You know what I'm saying? For Amorite, and it almost, well, it most definitely line up with scriptures when Almighty Yah told our father Abraham that, that the iniquity of the Amorites, which is, it could be translated as America, is not yet full. And then we see that how it's full now, how that America is in collapse mode. You know what I'm saying? It's in collapse mode. Most certainly. The people don't know it though, but I know it. And I know that Almighty Yah is finna bring his judgment up on the peoples that have the Israelites in captivity, and how that they ain't gonna wake up, man, to save themselves. But if you go to Genesis 15:13, and this is back when our father Abraham was told to leave Mesopotamia, the Amorite men controlled areas, with they wicked gods and so forth, and how the Amorite culture stretched it from the whole Mesopotamia all the way to the doors of Egypt, and how that they was, men connected. And then this is what, our father Abraham was told by the Creator. And this is Genesis 15:13. And he said unto Abraham, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. Now check this out. A stranger in a land that is not ours. Now, I have proven over and over during Assyrian times. That's going to be the only time that we could have got dispersed. If you listen to what, the enemy been lying and stuff, but how during Assyrian times that it wasn't no 10 lost tribes. Man, my videos always about this, how there's no 10 lost tribes, and how that never happened, and how all the Israelites were driven into Africa during Assyrian time. I mean during the Babylonian times, and how everybody was around after the Assyrian times, and that the whole Israelite army tricked out off the promised land, into Africa to worship the Egyptian religion. You know what I'm saying? And how that Africa is not a strange land, and we didn't go to all these other lands, even though we knew about them. You know what I'm saying? We knew about Japhet inheritance, and then some of our relatives, Shem, you know what I'm saying, that was over in these parts. You know what I'm saying? We knew about them, and then we knew about the Canaanites going abroad to other places. That's what Genesis is about. Prophet Moses got the origin of the whole families of the earth, and where they went and what they did in the beginnings and stuff. Prophet Moses got that. It wasn't nothing for the Most High to give Moses that information, being that the Creator is the Ancient of Days. But we see how that them lands anywhere around here, it's not gonna be a strange land. Anywhere in these parts is not gonna be a strange land. But how when the Israelites were kidnapped from the Sahara, from doing Egyptian worship, like I said, we was tricked into Africa, and we abandoned our heritage to Amir. You know what I'm saying? The Amorites, and how when we abandoned our heritage to them, oh man, you know what I'm saying? It was over with. But how when we was in Africa, it wasn't a strange land. You see what I'm saying? And that how when we was brung to the Americas, that's gonna be a strange land. And then how the Amorites were here first. The Amorites were here first. And then that's why I say, man, in plenty videos, how we Israelites can't be no history pirates. You cannot be a history pirate if you follow the Tanakh. And then how Israelites, man, the history pirates and steal the natives' history and stuff, and try to say that we was over here in the Americas, man, before the transatlantic slave trade. And then I show how that's impossible because of our building skills that's documented in Tanakh. How we had windows, houses, chariots with axles, wheels, domesticated animals, domesticated crops, and all that stuff. And how did none of that stuff get over here until the Sephardim got over here. Now the Sephardim speaking straight up Hebrew. So if you find any Hebrew artifacts in the Americas, you got to assume off the top that it comes from the Sephardim. Beginning with the Sephardim, who first reached the shores of America in the 1600s. You see that? Man, they been in the Americas. Man, they been in the Americas, and it's just being them telling you this and how that they been in America undocumented. And then it's just them documented how they here first. But how did the Amorites been traveling all over the earth? Man, the Amorites been all over the earth traveling and stuff, and how the whole earth ain't been no secret place to them, and how that they know all places and stuff, and been traveling everywhere, and how people are fooled by that. You know what I'm saying? Thinking that the Jews just recently just reached Europe, you know what I'm saying, from the Roman times, reach Europe, and then just, later on come over to the Americas and so forth. No, under their Amorite heritage, before they got the Israelite heritage, they been doing trade with foreign lands. Man, if you type in Sumerian bowl found in South America, man, them folks gonna show you that in them pyramids that the fallen angelic beings built. See, wherever the Amorites go, that's the fallen angelic beings offspring, and that's why you get them mega big structures, them big pyramids and so forth in the Americas. We know Almighty Yah ain't tell the Israelites to associate with no pyramids, being that he told us to destroy the pyramid makers culture and so forth. You see what I'm saying? He told us to destroy the zaggurat makers culture would be the Amorites. You see what I'm saying? So, me in America, men is founded by Amorites, and it's the strange land that we was took into, that the creator, told, was telling, Prophet Abraham, because like I said, all these other lands are not strange lands. Look, and he said unto Abraham, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and they shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And look, no other system could we had been afflicted under on the whole planet Earth than the Amorite system that we become entwined with in the biblical days, that eventually destroyed us. If you read the Tanakh history, man, it's telling you that the Amorite and the Egyptian culture destroyed us, and them was the cultures that Almighty Yah was against. Them was the cultures that Almighty Yah was against. Man, if you go to Leviticus, you go to Leviticus 18, plenty verses. There's plenty verses showing how Almighty Yah was against the Canaanite culture and how he told us to destroy it. Well, the Canaanite culture is dominated by the Amorite culture. You know what I'm saying? The Amorites are the founders and the dominant people in the land of Canaan, as Tanakh history explains. But if you look at right here, let's see what this say. They wickedness and so forth, and man, we getting caught up in that. Man, it's your destruction. Look, and this is Leviticus 18. And the Elohim spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, I am the Elohim your Yah, after the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwell, shall ye not do, and after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring ye, shall ye not do, neither shall ye walk in their ordinance. Ye shall do my judgment and keep my ordinance. See, Almighty Yah ordinance is different from the Canaanite ordinance and culture. As you read through the Tanakh laws and so forth of what Almighty Yah condemned the Canaanite culture, man, you will see that it is exactly what the people's doing now. All right. Ye shall do my judgments and keep my ordinance to walk therein. I am the Elohim your Yah. Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, which if a man do, he shall live in them. I am the Elohim. None of you shall approach unto any that is, man, it go on and on and on. Man, it go on and on, telling you the wickedness and the evilness of the Canaanite culture, So, what other system could the Israelites been, made to serve rigorous and terribly, is that the Amorite culture was transferred to the Americas, as I show you that Max I Demont telling you right here. Look, Max I Demont is telling you. Max I Demont is telling you that the look, beginning with the Sephardim, who first reached the shores of America in the 1600s. Man, there's some other books, man. They got plenty of other books, man, telling you how the Jews, come to America. You know what I'm saying? And how did they look? The Indestructible Jew by Max I Demont. He telling you how that they done lived through civilization and civilization. But what he's not telling you is that those civilizations that were originally created were created by the Amorites. So it's nothing for the Jews, especially the Sephardi's, to maneuver through empire after empire, age after age, and then for Ashkenazi to latch on to them. Yeah, that'll make them the indestructible Jew, because the whole Western civilization is created by the Sebhardim, the Sebhardi, the Amorites. The Amorites created Western civilization. So it's nothing for Ashkenazi and the Sebhardi to continue to thrive after each civilization was destroyed and destroyed. Man, it's like they run the same system now that destroyed all the previous civilizations. The fiat currency, the tax system, the unjust. Almighty Yah know that the people are being oppressed on the earth and that he hear from the heavens. Almighty Yah hear from the heavens the people suffering, but because the Israelites broke the covenant, their salvation has been put on hold till we Israelites come back into our heritage, and then Almighty Yah work through us as he working now, revealing this truth to you Israelites. Revealing this truth meant to you Israelites. All right, look, let's get back to this. Look. But this is the rigorous system that we are enslaved in. It's the Amorite system that was set up in America. This unjust laws, the unjust court system. All this can be traced back to the Amorite law, and even more that they added on to it, and how that the indestructible Jew is at the top because he's the founder of the Amorite system that governs the whole Western culture. And that's what we Israelites are in prison to, because we were supposed to destroy it long time ago when we exodus Egypt. And he said unto Abraham, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge. And afterwards, all right, and then as you finish, let me see, reading. All right, but in the fourth generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. The iniquity of the Amorites never got full. It never got full. It never got full because if you look at Tanakh history, which is the plan, which was the original plan coming from Almighty Yah, you see how that we Israelites were manipulated over and over by the Amorites and the people in Canaan, just like now. And then I could show, one time how they got into our heritage. Now these will be the peoples that went to Babylon. They was Amorites already, but how the Gabonites got into our heritage and we made them servants, and then how did they would become Solomon's servants and be in the temple and be around our most holy site. You know what I'm saying? Men around our most important institution, the temple, and how that they would be there, and that how when the Babylonians came, you know what I'm saying? Well, some of them, man, some more was brung during the Syrian times, and then how that they went home, a free ride home on the Israelites back to Mesopotamia, where they're from, and then they tried to come back after the Babylonians were defeated by the Persians, and then tried to get into the Israelite heritage, and then how we put brakes on it, and then how Emir is some of the talkers, the slick talkers that come from Mesopotamia, you know what I'm saying, and it, how that they came in and tried to talk their way into our heritage, but we rejected them. But how that they would eventually get our heritage. They would eventually get our heritage, because I explained what happened to the exiles, and then how did Emir, the Amorite, are the ones that went across North Africa when Herd Edomite temple was destroyed. I explained how the Sebhardis are the original Semitic peoples and how they mix with all the ancient tribes that we Israelites were forbidden to mix with. Moabites, Ammonites, Amorites, all Canaan kids, the Havites, and you name it, they mix with them, and that's that term, semi, half and half. Semitic, come from, but how that they would be chased out the promised land by Ashkenazi. Ashkenazi chased them out during the Roman times, and then, they will go across North Africa and then get lost into Spain. And then, as I showed you, Israelites, they trade routes, and then they can't stop trading. Man, they can't stop trading, man, no matter where they go, they gonna start doing some trading. And then, when they trade, they gonna go down, man, into Africa and so forth. They gonna go down into Africa and then into Europe, because that's what they do. They do trading. Trading is part of their legacy and heritage. They gonna do some trading, and then that's what they did. When I showed you the trade route maps of the Sephardim, man, Randonite is the same as Sephardim and Sephardi, and then how they was everywhere doing trade. But you see, when they went over to Spain, man, they went over to Spain and traded everywhere, and then all in Europe, and then they developed schools, but because they've been writing, they gonna develop some schools and some colleges to educate the uneducated peoples. That's how they control, because they setting up the Babylonian Amorite system. When they come in and set schools up and teach the peoples how to read and write from trade. You see what I'm saying? Which lead to the schools and then colleges. And then now those peoples got taxes in the Babylonian governance administration, a foundation put on them. You see what I'm saying? And the Amorite culture can benefit who the Amorites wanted to benefit, and they've been benefiting off of it, and then eventually, those Amorites, because Ashkenazi will catch up with them, and then they was chased from the promised land to Spain, and then from Spain to the Americas, and then that's why come you get, you know what I'm saying, a mirror, you know what I'm saying, a mirror in there. You see what I'm saying? Because the Amorites set America up, and this is the captivity that we Israelites are in a strange land. And then let's see some of this here. And then if you set up in America, and then the Amorites and set up his education and this whole culture and everything, then you're under Amorite mind control. You know what I'm saying? You're under Amorite mind control, and you can tell the Israelites from the transatlantic slave trade are under Amorite mind control, because they're still being addressed as African American, black, colored, especially black. Black means death and destruction. But black, colored, Negro, Afro-American, are all under control of the Canaanite culture, which is the Amorites. And then look, let's go look and see some of this here. Alright, so we know Amir. Look, you see Amir. They try to say that some Israelites had that name, but we know that it's a place, man, in Babylon. Perhaps a place in Babylon. Amir, perhaps a place in Babylon. It's gonna be in Babylon where them Amorites, you know what I'm saying, were and stuff. You know what I'm saying? They know, man, they play some serious games when it come to the Israelite heritage, because they try to hide them being not Israelites. And it's very important, because if they start showing that they are not the Israelites, then their whole system crumble and stuff. Wherever they go, they make it seem like it's God's given right, you know what I'm saying, for them to be there, and then to manipulate the resources. And then if you come up against them, that how you against the Creator, and how that con game been going on a long time and stuff. But let's see, Amir, you know what I'm saying, Amir is the same as Omar, is in the same family group, you know what I'm saying? And Amorite, Amir, you know what I'm saying? The meaning to speak, you know what I'm saying? It's the same as Omar, you know what I'm saying? Alright, let's see, I had some more little history with the Amir word, you know what I'm saying? Amir, look, all those folks that come back doing Nehemiah and Ezra and them time, it's a whole bunch of them. I got a video explaining how that the enemies tried to get into the Israelite heritage, and how that the holy prophets, because the prophets had Almighty Yah still dealing with them, so you know that they was going to be able to put a brakes on them peoples coming back from Babylon. Like I say, the Amorites got into our heritage. I mean, the Amorites got into our heritage when we come out of Egypt, that we didn't destroy the Gabonites, and how that they was Amorites. And then when we didn't destroy them folks, how did that, you know, they was Amorites, and then how did they would get our heritage, and then they would go to back to their homeland during the Babylonian wars, and then how they would come back and try to register men in our name, but how that they was Amorites already, and then how some of the ones that had been in our land for a long time probably thought that they was Israelites. You know how, you know, people can live in our community and we'll accept them as us. They dressing like us, they eating like us, and they doing what we doing and so forth. Well, these people had been in our land since Exodus and had been doing our culture and our covenant since Exodus, you know, as the book of Joshua show, you know, the Gabonites, and that how these folks were Amorites also. Look, alright. Messed up thing, how we get tricked left and right. Left and right. Men concerning the Israelite heritage, you know, and it's been going on for a long time. You know, how enemies are just able to trick us, because you get tricked whenever you doing Amorite culture. You know, these Gabonites, these are Amorites. These Gabonites are Amorites. And they tricked us. And, you know, look, the Gabonites, these are Amorites. Man, if you go to, I think it's 2 Samuel 21. Let me see what 2 Samuel 21 say. You know, showing that the Gabonites are Amorites. Man, I almost turned right to it. Man, just a flick of the page. Alright. Yeah, Hebrews, man, if you ain't woke up, man, you still up under. If you ain't woke up to the history that the Israelite Brotherhood been showing, then you gonna be up under Amorite mind control. Even if you an Israelite in one of them camps. And if you an Israelite in one of them camps, you still up under Amorite mind control. Alright, look. The Gabonites are Amorites, and the Amorites are the Sephardim, and the Sephardim has been shown to founded America, which make it a Amorite place. Look, then this is first. Let me see, 2 Samuel 21. Then there was a famine in the days of David 3 years, year after year, and David inquired of the Elohim, and Elohim answered, "It is for Saul and for his bloody house, because he slew the Gabonites." You know, they had tricked us using Almighty Yah name and stuff. You know, them folks would eventually get our heritage. That's why come the folks ain't been able to say, hey, the Jews are not the Israelites, because they've been in our heritage a long time, since Exodus. That's something real serious. That's something real serious. All right. And the king called the Gabonites and said unto them, now the Gabonites were not the children of Israel, but the remain of the Amorites. And the children, you know, Israel has sworn unto them. See, those are Amorites. Those are Amorites. All right, so they went to Babylon. They went to Babylon during the Babylonian wars when we Israelites were driven out the land, everybody had to get out the land. Everybody had to get out the land when Ashkenazi come through. Everybody had to get out the land. The Creator sent Ashkenazi to chase us out the promised land, but because we kept saying that we was gonna do Egyptian religion and Ashkenazi, as I have proven over and over, how Ashkenazi name in history is Scythian. Ashkenazi name in history is Scythian, and then they would be used to drive us out the promised land. They would be used to drive us out the promised land. That's just the way it is. We kept saying we wanted to do Egyptian religion. Well, you can't do Egyptian religion being on the covenant land. You can't do it. And Almighty Yah showed us that we couldn't do it. And then that's why come Ashkenazi arrowheads is found all over the promised land. Even right now today, Ashkenazi arrowheads are still being found in the promised land. Almost 2,500, 2,500 years later, they still finding Ashkenazi arrowheads. And Ashkenazi chased us out the land during the Babylonian Wars for saying that we wanted to do Egyptian religion. And then when the Israelite army went into Africa, and then them Amorites start coming from Babylon, Amir gonna be one of the ones that come back from Babylon. You know what I'm saying? And Amir is Omar. Amir, and that's Amorite name and stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's a slick Amorite name. And then how did them folks came, to the promised land and then settled in. And then when they settled in, and then the exiles were destroyed, then, they would be, seen as Israelites. And then, when the Romans, caught up with them and then, put the beat down on them and stuff, them Edomite went to Spain. And then from Spain, men to America. And then check this out. And then this is interesting, but because most Israelites won't believe stuff, meaningless, you know what I'm saying? They see, you know what I'm saying? White person John, see, you know the truth, you know what I'm saying? Look, then again, Ezra, Amir is Amir, the root word of Amorite. America, the name comes from the word in the children of Amir that could not show their registry in Israel. And, they're going to probably be floating around, been floating around and stuff, you know what I'm saying? And then he go on to say this, but, the nations, look, the nation's name, he talking about America, you know what I'm saying? America original name was Appalachia, you know what I'm saying? But before the sons of Amir, the Amorites had it named America, you know what I'm saying? But because Amir ain't nothing but Amir, and Amir is Amorites, and the Amorites name, you know what I'm saying, America, mean America, you know what I'm saying? So, ain't no question about that. Ain't no question about that. And some Israelites, man, that they just ain't gonna, you know what I'm saying, believe it. And how did they, think that, you know what I'm saying, that America come from the natives. And how that, that dude just tell you that how the indestructible Jew from the Sumerian Empire to now set, you know what I'm saying, America up. You know what I'm saying? Beginning, look, this is Max I Debunk. The Jews in America. Now, I already got history covering this. Beginning with the Sebharadim who first reached in the shores of America. So they going to set up the Amorite system. So the iniquity of the Amorites never got full. Never got full. The iniquity of the Amorites never got full if we Israelites were tricked into allowing the Amorites into our heritage, and then we was eventually driven out, and then how nobody destroyed the Amorite culture. The Amorite culture was never destroyed and is thriving today in what's called America, and then that's why come America helped the state, the Jewish state, because that's their ancient homeland and that's their peoples. That's their peoples and so forth. But I'm going to show you how we Israelites abandon our heritage to them for Egyptian religion. Now we know that America means Amorite. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no question about that. Ain't no question how man America means Amorite. You know what I'm saying? I just proved how the Amorites, the Sephardims, got here first. You know what I'm saying? Them, and if they got here first, me, if the Sephardims got here first and named it America, and then they're Amorites, then that's that on that. Then, you know, we know, and then also we know that we didn't destroy the Amorite culture. We never destroyed, man, the Amorite culture, and we know that Almighty Yah was against the Amorite culture. Look, and Joshua said, hereby ye shall know that the living Yah is among you, and that ye will without fail drive out from before you the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Havites, the Perizzites, the Gushites, and the Amorites, and the Jebusites. You know what I'm saying? And we didn't do none of that. We didn't do none of that. And as you read, man, them folks still lived in the land. You know what I'm saying? And then they even tricked us. And then when they come back from Babylon, they got into our heritage, and then when the Greeks destroyed the exiles, man, they had our heritage from then up to now. You know, I got plenty of videos explaining this, but let me show you how the Sephardims, the Sephardi's, was placed in our land, and then how they even come to the Passover dinner. They even come to the Passover dinner under King Hezekiah. Man, if you go to 2 Kings chapter 17, verse 24, you'll see during our Assyrian troubles, you know, I explained that the Assyrian captivity is not what our enemies been teaching, and that how the Assyrian captivity, man, it is entirely different than what history been teaching, and how the whole Western history and culture has been designed to control people minds. You know what I'm saying? The Amorite mind control. You know what I'm saying? And then if you ain't woke up to this history that I'm showing, then 9 out of 10 you're gonna be up under Amorite mind control. You know, you're gonna be up under Amorite mind control. Look, this is 2 Kings chapter 17 verse 24. This is in 722 BC. And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon, and from Cuddar, and from Abel, and from Sepharvaim, and from Hamath, and from where? Sepharvaim, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel, and they dwelt in the cities thereof. Alright, now look, man, I be having to do this sometime, because sometimes folks just don't know. You know what I'm saying? But if you type in Amorite, hold on, let me go back. I can type it in. You know, let me type in Amorite. Let me type in Sepharvaim and watch it translate into Sephardi. Sepharvaim. Look, you see that? Sepharvaim. And then watch this. They're going to change this one day. See? Sephardi. Those are the Sephardi Jews. And then we know that the Sephardims are Sephardis. Look. I mean Sephardim. And then watch this. Sephardi. See? Sephardi. I mean, Sephardim translating to Sephardi. It's just that the Sephardim are going to be the pigmented Amorites that mostly got a pigmentation, whereas the Sephardic are going to be mostly the Sephardis that mix with the Europeans and non-pigmented folks, and how the Sephardi are Amorites, and that the Amorites mix with all the ancient tribes, Edomites, all the ones that we Israelites were to destroy, and they become one in the Amorite, and then how the Amorite is the Sephardi. You see, that's plain and simple to understand. That's plain and simple to understand. That's why I say that these Israelites are up under Amorite mind control. All these up under Amorite mind control. All these brothers up under Amorite mind control. All these groups, and how that they ain't teaching no truth about the Israelite heritage, and that how they mostly teaching to get donations and so forth. Man, it's very rarely to do an Israelite ask to support the Israelite Brotherhood. Men and fruit Israelites do, but how that these Israelites are enriching their pockets off the Amorite lies, the mind control. They part of the mind control, and how that they teach demigod worship. They teach demigod worship. They teach all kind of falsehood. They teach 10 lost tribe doctrines. They teach Israelites went all over the world and all kind of stuff, man. And this group right here, is over in Africa, converting them Africans left and right. I guess you could become united in Christ, but you can't never be an Israelite, and Israelites can't never be united in no Christ. We can't never be united in no Christ, but because that Christ Jesus stuff was created by the Amorites, the Edomites. I explained how wasn't no Israelites in the New Testament. Simple history, and I got a called Simple History about the New Testament, and how I explained that Jesus, couldn't have went to Egypt and he being no black person, because if he was a pigmented person, how the Romans and the Greeks controlled Egypt 332 years, before dude was even born. 332 years before dude was born, and that how all the folks, when the Greeks took the promised land over after they destroyed the Persians, how every European that can walk and that had a horse in a chariot moved all the way down here to the promised land. And look, they ain't have to swim across no ocean. They ain't had to swim across no ocean. All they had to do was just get on their dang chariots and their horses and ride on around through their kinders, the Hittites. You know what I'm saying? And then swing on around Syria. You right there, in our territory, in our house. You in Shem house. Japhet is in Shem house, just like Prophet Noah said. And let me show that. Ain't no sense playing with that verse. Let me show this how Japhet becoming Shem house, just like the Prophet Noah said. That's how you know that the Tanakh is real. That's how you know the Tanakh is real. If you go to Genesis, that'd be Genesis 9. I turn right to it. Genesis 9:27. And it says, Yah shall enlarge Japhet, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. I show you Israelites how Japhet come in our house, and how that the Canaanites, the Amorites, have become servants to the Sephardi Jews. You know what I'm saying? Even by their own mouth and stuff. And we know that Ashkenazi is violent war. You know what I'm saying? He come in to do war. The Creator sent him in to do war. So we know that the Sephardists wasn't going to be able to hang on to the Israelite heritage for a long time anyway. All right? I mean, if you go to Sephardic, idea has always been understood in terms of political moderation and community unity. Rarely did Sephardim lose their internal cohesion, that is, until the process of cultural erosion set in. Following the Ashkenazi lead, Sephardim abandoned their traditional culture and adapted to the fractious Ashkenazi model under the rubric of a single Jewish nation. The Sephardi, particularly with his cultural genius and sophisticated social morals, that's that Amorite system that everybody been in prison to, has become a lost value. The Ashkenazi culture, with its deeply unsettled relationship to the larger world, has now become the Jewish standard. So Ashkenazi, was going to take the Israelite heritage from the Sephardim, Sephardi anyway, because, they come in, with violence, like Almighty Yah told them. But you see, them camps, if you in these camps, and I'm friends with a lot of Israelites, meaning that it's in these camps, and then how that, like I said, that Jesus couldn't have been no Israelite and no pigmented person, because it would have been hard for him to hide in Egypt. It'd have been hard for him to hide in Egypt when the Greeks held Egypt in 332 BC, and like I said, all them folks moved down here, man, real quick and real easy, and some of them even sailed over there real fast. And then how I show in a video how the Israelite army was tricked into Africa, and how it wasn't nobody there to defend the promised land, and how the Israelite army was tricked into Africa during the Babylonian wars, and how almost 200 years later the land was still up for grabs. And then how did these people from Sephardim, the Sephardis, the Amorites, was placed in Samaria in 722 BC. And then, let me show you, like, maybe 7 years later, they would end up coming to the Passover dinner. And then, they was already Amorites from being Gabonites. And then how did they would start, taking on our whole heritage. Man, if you go to 2 Chronicles 30, this is dealing with King Hezekiah. And then, King Hezekiah is the 10 lost tribe myth killer. And that how all the Israelites were home after the so-called Assyrian captivity, and how King Hezekiah wrote a letter to everybody, and this is in 716 BC, and how he wrote a letter to everybody. And then when you get down to verse 6, so the post went with the letters from the king and his princes throughout all Israel and Judah, according to the commandment of the king, saying, ye children of Israel, turn again unto the Elohim Yah of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, and he will return to the remainder of you that are escaped. Look, that are escaped out of the hands of the kings of Assyria. So who all escaped? And then as you go down, you'll start seeing the tribes' names still there. The tribes' names still there. And then all the tribes that's not mentioned during King Hezekiah time gonna be mentioned during his great grandson, King Josiah. But the Sephardims would have been in the land 7 years from Mesopotamia. They was Amorites. They ain't never left the promised land as Amorites, but as these Pacific Babylonian scribes that can rewrite the whole Israelite history and take it over, being that they had control of Sipper, where the tax and the administrative government, where the Amorite system come from, and then how that they will be able to engulf the Israelite heritage once it was left to them. But they was placed in 722 BC, and then 7 years later they come to the Passover dinner. And then as you get to 2 Chronicles 30, and then you read down to verse 25, and all the congregation of Judah with the priests and the Levites and all the congregation that come out of Israel, and the strangers that come out of the land of Israel that dwell in Judah rejoice. See, that's going to be them, the strangers that was placed in Samaria. You know what I'm saying? In 722 BC, how they come to the Passover done, where it was food, party, you know what I'm saying? That's why come now we only use for entertainment, because the Sepharvims who are from Sippar, where the tax and the whole administrative government of Babylon come from, seeing us dancing and partying and stuff. So you know when they got control of us, that's what they was gonna have you doing, singing and dancing, and it was profitable. There was probably a whole bunch of selling stuff going on during the Passover time then, and how that they always create and use us for entertainment and stuff, and how that they come into our heritage while we was entertaining. So you know that they gonna be using us for entertainment, and then that's why come you up under the Amorite mind control. All right, look, man, you see that? All right, that's Sippar. That's Sippar now. That's where they from. That's where the Amorite code and all this up in here are dominant. You know what I'm saying? And those are the people we abandoned our heritage to when we went into Africa during the Babylonian wars. Now, them people placed in our land, and if you know Tanakh history, you'll see that we Israelites kept messing up, kept messing up, kept messing up, kept robbing and stealing and killing each other, to where we had to be driven off the land. We had to be driven off the land, because if you read the book of Jeremiah, man, especially after they done killed, the Egyptians killed King Josiah, and then we didn't go to war with the Egyptians after they killed King Josiah, who was a prophecy priest that was prophesied to get rid of the Egyptian culture and stuff that was in the northern kingdom that go all the way back, man, to Jeroboam days. Let's see if we can get that in real quick. Let's see if we can get that in real quick. You know, that prophecy go all the way back, man, to Jeroboam days, when the kingdom first split, and we first started becoming enemies with each other and stuff. When we started becoming enemies big time with each other, Israelite on Israelite violence, is when the kingdom split, when they put that Egyptian worship on us after Solomon's death, and how Solomon was evil and wicked and opened the door. And then how when Jeroboam come out of Egypt from putting the golden calves on us, which symbolize Is, Horus, Ptah religion, you know, them fallen angelic beings, he put that stuff on us when he come out of Egypt, because the tribe of Ephraim was connected to the Egyptians through Joseph marriage to Asenath, the priest of On. You know what I'm saying, daughter. You know, and then that's where the phoenix, the phoenix that rise from the ashes and then get rebirth to itself come from, and that's where we was enslaved from, and that's the Egyptian system that they put on us, and how the phoenix ain't gonna rise this time to rebirth itself, because the Israelites, man, are coming into heritage. You know, we destroying. I'm an Egyptian culture killer. All right. And behold, there come a man of Yah out of Judah by the word of the Elohim unto Bethel, and Jeroboam stood by the altar to burn incense, and cried against the altar in the word of the Elohim, and said, O altar, altar, this saith the Elohim, behold, a child shall be born unto the house of David, Josiah by name, and upon thee shall he offer the priests of the high places that burn incense upon thee, and men's bones shall he burn upon thee. All right, 300 years later, that come to pass, and he got rid of the Egyptian Canaanite culture. You know what I'm saying? He got rid of the Egyptian in the Canaanite culture. You know, King Josiah did, and if you go to 2 Chronicles Man, that'll be 2nd Chronicles 34. I turned to it. And Josiah was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned in Jerusalem 130 years, and he did that which was right in the sight of the Elohim, and walked in the ways of David his father, and declined neither to the right hand nor to the left. For in the 8th year of his reign, while he was yet young, he began to seek after the Yah of David his father, and in the 12th year he began to purge Judah and Jerusalem from the high places and the groves, and the carved images and the molten images, and then as you read on down, he did just what that prophecy say, and then he came 300 years after the prophecy that was given to Jeroboam, and here it is, he cleaning up the whole Israelite kingdom, and then he even cleaned up Israel, and then the tribes that's not mentioned during his great grandfather Hezekiah time, who was after the Assyrian captivity. The tribes are mentioned during King Josiah's time, and man, he mentioned them tribes like Simon and Naphtali and so forth. We know Manasseh and Ephraim couldn't have been enslaved by the Assyrians because the tribe of Ephraim did trade with Egypt. Did trade with Egypt. I mean, if you go to Hosea, I almost turned right to that. I like that. One page away. This is in 753 BC. Hard for the Assyrians to enslave them. Ephraim feedeth on wind and follows after the east wind, and he daily increases lies and desolation, and they do make a covenant with the Assyrians, and all is carried into Egypt. So we know it wasn't never no 10 lost tribes. Impossible. As I show in other videos, how we would, be on par or be connected with the Assyrians during the Babylonian wars when they was fighting against Babylon, and Prophet Isaiah even said it would happen, and he wrote this 3 years. This is in 725 BC. Man, he wrote this like 3 years, man, before the so-called Assyrian captivity, and how that us Israelites will be united with the Syrians. Impossible to enslave us and take 10 tribes away. When this was said, this is Isaiah 19. In that day shall there be a highway out of Egypt to Assyria. The Syrians shall come into Egypt, and the Egyptians into Syria, and the Syrians shall serve with the Egyptians shall serve with the Assyrians. In that day shall Israel be the third with Egypt and with Assyria, even a blessing in the midst of the land, whom the Elohim of hosts shall bless, saying, Blessed be Egypt, my people, and Assyria, the works of my hand, and Israel, my inheritance. I explained how that those Egyptians would be the ones from Lower Egypt that didn't get mixed up with the Nephilim stock like the ones from Upper Egypt, the Nubian, Ethiopian stock and stuff did and stuff. How it would make a difference in how we would be mixed with some of them Egyptians, man up on Exodus. You know what I'm saying? If you go to Exodus, I think that's Exodus 12. Look, in that mixed multitude that left with us. And a mixed multitude went up also with them, flocks and herds and very much cattle. That's going to be the Mishwish tribes and the lower Egyptian tribes, the ones that tricked us all the time to be worshiping their religion so the Egyptians can do trade across the promised land. You see what I'm saying? And then how that, that's what Egypt wanted to do. Destroy the Israelites' covenant so they could do trade, man, across the promised land. And then how that us doing the covenant would have blocked that, you see, and how we had life and death of Egypt in our hands. And that's one of the reasons why the Egyptians put us on their religion, because they know that we Israelites had the life and death of Egypt culture in our hands, as well as the people from Mesopotamia knew it too, them Amorites. That they had first-hand experience how we was destroying them. So that they gonna come back and put us, man, up under Amorite mind control, hoping that we don't never rise again against them to destroy them. And that's going to be the African Americans, the blacks, the coloreds, the Negroes, and all them old subversive titles that the Israelites done accepted with the mentality in the history since our captivity. All right, but if you go to Jeremiah, was our last days. He our last major prophet, and how we was tricked out the promised land by the Egyptians after they killed King Josiah and put us on Egyptian religion, that we would be driven off the land into Africa, meant to do the Egyptian religion, and then this is what we said going into Africa, and then that we would leave our whole heritage to those peoples that I explained, a mirror in the Amorites and so forth, that was placed in our land in 722 BC. They're just like 134 years later, we being driven out the promised land for being tricked by the Egyptians. Look. Then all the men which knew that their wives had burnt incense unto other gods, and all the women that stood by, a great multitude, even all the people that dwelled in the land of Egypt and Pathros, answered Jeremiah, saying, As for the word that thou hast spoken unto us in the name of the Elohim, we will not hearken unto thee, but we will certainly do so whatever thing go forth out of our own mouth to burn incense unto the Queen of heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done, we and our fathers, our kings, our princes, in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem. For then had we plenty of food, and were well, and saw no evil. But since we left off to burn incense unto the Queen of heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, we have wanted all things, and have been consumed by the sword and by famine. And then those Israelites that went into Egypt, to worship the whole Israelite nation, never returned out of Africa. Never returned out of Africa to be reunited with those Israelites, that 1% that come home from the Mesopotamian area, when those mere Amorites tried to get into our heritage, and then how we put the brakes on it, but how that they would eventually get our heritage from what we did in the book of Jeremiah. All right, Hebrews, this is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. I pray that you Israelites, got a little understanding of how, America come from the Amorites, and how did they say with their own selves how America comes from the Amorites, and how the paradigms founded America. And like I say, you ain't gonna get no better scholar. You ain't finna get no better historian than Max I.B. Monk. He tell you, I got this book called The Jews, God and History, and he tell you how the Jews single-handedly developed the whole European civilization, what's called Europe, and how did they develop it, and then how did they would develop America. All right, look, beginning with the Sephardim, who first reached the shores of America in the 1600s. See, so America is set up by the Amorites. And then if you're being educated and taught in the Amorite system, then you up under Amorite mind control. And the Israelites that address themselves by the title African American, black, colored, Negroes, and all them old titles that the Amorites created are under Amorite mind control. And it's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. All right, Hebrews, this is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. I pray that everybody is doing well, and that the Israelite Brotherhood family is being watched over by Almighty Yah. Shalom, Hebrews.